2025. Sounds futuristic, right? Like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. Picture flying cars zipping through the skies and robot butlers catering to your every need. But hold your horses, because 2025 might not be the utopia we imagined. In fact, it could be far from it. It could be a whole lot worse, with storm clouds gathering on the horizon. Think economic turmoil, environmental chaos, and enough political drama to make even your most opinionated uncle blush. Imagine stock markets crashing, pollution levels skyrocketing, and protests erupting everywhere. We're talking about a perfect storm of interconnected problems, where one issue exacerbates another. A global game of Jenga, where one wrong move could send the whole thing crashing down. It's like a chain reaction waiting to happen. And guess what? We're all playing. No pressure, right? Every single one of us is a piece in this intricate puzzle. The good news? It's not too late to change course. There's still hope on the horizon. But first, we need to understand the challenges ahead. We need to analyze data, create roadmaps, and plan strategically. So, buckle up, Buttercup, because we're diving headfirst into the potential dumpster fire that is 2025. Get ready for a wild ride. Remember that whole global pandemic thing? Yeah, it turns out it left a bit of a mark on the economy. Supply chains are still tangled, inflation is soaring, and that temporary recession, it's looking a little too comfortable. Add to that a mountain of debt, unstable markets, and the looming threat of a global recession, and you've got yourself a recipe for economic disaster. Think 2008, but with better memes and a side of climate change. The worst part? It's not just about numbers on a screen. It's about people losing their jobs, their homes, and their ability to provide for their families. It's about the widening gap between the haves and the have-nots. Remember those apocalyptic movies where the Earth fights back? Yeah, that's not so far-fetched anymore. Climate change is real, it's here, and it's bringing the heat, literally. We're talking about more frequent and intense heat waves, droughts, floods, and storms. We're talking about rising sea levels swallowing coastlines whole. And we're talking about food shortages and mass displacement as people are forced to flee their homes. The kicker? The effects of climate change often hit the poorest and most vulnerable communities the hardest. The very people who contributed the least to the problem are bearing the brunt of the consequences. Remember that robot butler we talked about earlier? Well, it might be coming, but it's bringing unemployment along with it. Technological advancements, particularly in AI and automation, are rapidly changing the job market. While some argue that these advancements will create new jobs, many fear that they will displace workers faster than new positions can be created. Truck drivers, factory workers, even lawyers and accountants are at risk of being replaced by algorithms. This isn't just about losing your job, it's about losing your livelihood, your sense of purpose, and your place in society. It's about the fear of being left behind in a world that's rapidly changing around you. Section 5. Political Instability. A World on the Brink. Remember when politics was just about boring speeches and slightly awkward handshakes? Yeah, those days are gone. Political instability is on the rise, and it's not pretty. We're talking about rising nationalism, political polarization, and a decline in trust in democratic institutions. We're talking about the rise of misinformation and the erosion of truth. And we're talking about the very real potential for conflict, both within and between nations. The world is becoming an increasingly volatile and uncertain place, and it's hard to see a clear path forward. But one thing's for sure: ignoring the problem won't make it go away. Section 6. Can we talk about water? We've covered the economy, the environment, and the political landscape. But there's another crisis brewing, one that's often overlooked: water scarcity. 2 words: water wars. It sounds like a bad sequel, but it's a terrifying reality. As populations grow and climate change intensifies, access to clean water is becoming increasingly scarce. This isn't just about being thirsty. It's about food security, sanitation, and basic human survival. Imagine a world where entire cities are forced to ration water, where conflicts erupt over access to rivers and lakes, where millions are displaced in search of this most basic human need. That's the future we're facing if we don't act now. Section 7. The Mental Health Crisis. A Silent Sufferer. Amidst all the economic turmoil, environmental disasters, and political chaos, there's another crisis unfolding, one that's often hidden from view. The mental health crisis. Rates of anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues are skyrocketing, fueled by economic insecurity, social isolation, and the constant barrage of negative news. Yet mental health services remain woefully inadequate, leaving millions to suffer in silence. This is more than just a personal struggle. It's a societal crisis. Untreated mental health issues ripple outward, impacting families, communities, and entire nations. It's time to break the stigma and invest in mental health care like we would any other critical public service. Section 8. Inequality. The gap widens. The disparity between the haves and the have-nots is growing at an alarming rate. Remember that whole "we're all in this together" mantra? It was a comforting thought, but reality paints a different picture. Turns out, that's not entirely accurate. The unity we hoped for is overshadowed by stark divisions. While the challenges of 2025 will be felt globally, they won't be felt equally. Different regions and communities will experience varying degrees of hardship. The gap between the rich and the poor is already vast, and it's only going to widen. The wealthy continue to amass more resources, leaving the less fortunate further behind. The wealthiest 1% are insulated from the worst effects of climate change, economic instability, and even pandemics. They have the means to protect themselves and maintain their lifestyles. Meanwhile, the rest of us are left to fight over the scraps. Basic necessities become harder to obtain, and opportunities for advancement diminish. This isn't just unfair, it's a recipe for social unrest. The frustration and anger among the disadvantaged are palpable. When people feel like the system is rigged against them, they're more likely to lose faith in institutions and resort to extreme measures. This growing discontent can lead to instability and conflict, threatening the very fabric of society. Section 9. A Glimmer of Hope? Okay, we've painted a pretty bleak picture so far. The challenges we face are indeed daunting, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the magnitude of the problems. But before you go full doomsday prepper, remember this. Humans are incredibly resilient creatures. Our history is filled with stories of overcoming adversity and rising to the occasion. We've faced challenges before, and we've come out the other side. From natural disasters to social upheavals, humanity has always found a way to persevere and thrive. There's still time to change course. The future is not set in stone, and we have the power to shape it. We can invest in renewable energy, harnessing the power of the sun, wind, and water to create a sustainable future. We can reform our economic systems to be more equitable, ensuring that everyone has a fair chance to succeed and thrive. And we can strengthen our democratic institutions, making sure that every voice is heard and that justice prevails. We can prioritize mental health care, recognizing the importance of emotional well-being, and address water scarcity, ensuring access to clean water for all. We can find solutions to the challenges posed by technological disruption. It won't be easy, but with determination and innovation, we can adapt and thrive. It will require radical collaboration, innovative thinking, and a willingness to work together across boundaries and differences, and a willingness to challenge the status quo, breaking free from old paradigms and embracing new possibilities. But the alternative, passively accepting a dystopian future, is simply unacceptable. We must act now with hope and determination to create a better world for ourselves and future generations. Section 10. What can we do? Your voice matters. So what can you, one person, do in the face of such overwhelming challenges? The answer is simple: a lot. Start by getting informed. Read up on the issues, follow credible news sources, and engage in respectful dialogue with others. Then, use your voice. Contact your elected officials, support organizations working toward solutions, and make your concerns known. Remember, change happens from the bottom up. It happens when ordinary people like you and me decide that enough is enough and demand better. So, let's get to work. The future of 2025 and beyond depends on it.